Once again, I find myself talking to a camera. I don't even have like a coherent thought. Actually, it's more like the nub of a thought that popped into my head. Anyway, I'm watching the Joe Rogan podcast 1742 with Jimmy Corsetti, otherwise known as Bright Insight, who is a fun YouTuber who does ancient civilization stuff, which is fun. It's always enjoyable checking out what people are looking at. Him in Uncharted X and most of the podcasts that Joe does with those kinds of people are a lot of fun to listen to. You know what's not fun is like the lecture ones with the slideshows and the photos and that's just, I don't know, something about that that's just really tedious to me. Anyway, they're talking about the Muse and having ideas pop into there. What the fuck was the idea that I had that made me think of this in the first place? And they were talking about something to do with, Joe was saying that believing in God is like, if you believe in God, then things that make sense for that will pop in and it'll all be like normal. And it's funny because to a degree that's how I feel about reality in general. Is that we're all correct, we're all right, you know, and whatever you believe is true, sort of thing. It's like, isn't there, there's that saying, is that what you hold to be true on earth, or whatever, is like, it will be true in heaven or some shit like that. I don't know. I'm not very like memory proficient, doesn't come out right. Anyway, but my life is sort of like that, where I leave the doors wide open for possibility, and so circumstantial stuff happens to be a lot, like magical timing, and I mean, it happens to everyone, you know, like people just don't usually think of it as a real thing. It's just circumstance. It's like a coincidence. But when coincidence happens enough, it feels like it's no longer coincidence. Like the chances of things being so coincidental so often don't make a lot of sense. So it feels like there's definitely something there. And the other good thing about something like coincidence or deja vu or time repeating, all that sort of stuff, is that it coexists with science. They're not mutually exclusive in the way that they operate. Something that's the chances of something being infinitesimally small doesn't mean that it can't happen. It just means that they're infinitesimally small. So, and when those things happen over and over for you, it makes sense that you would believe that there's something more. And why not? Like, you can't prove it, you can't disprove it, so it ends up being sort of like a catch-22. Like, holding on to it too strongly is going to be like detrimental to your mental health, and not believing anything at all seems like it's like a missed opportunity. So yeah, there's something interesting there that everyone, I feel, finds interesting at some point in their life, and I like think of exploring it further, but I don't even know what experimentation to run on it. If you were to try and test the nature of the universe in terms of its ability to provide crazy stuff, I mean, what would you do? I guess because you can never test it with science, because it coexists. You would always, because it coexists with science, whenever you do a scientific experiment based on this stuff, you will always find a rational and sensical argument for why something happened, you know? And so you can't really test it like that. You would have to, or you would always be able to explain away with luck, you know? Like, you could be the luckiest person on earth, but it would still be luck. And that doesn't contradict science. So I wonder how you could possibly test it, whether it would be that, I mean, the best way would probably be to put yourself out there as much as possible. And the more you put yourself out there, the more chance you have of, say, successful events, or not successful events, for interesting events. So the more out there you are, in terms of not more crazy, just more out there, as in like existing in the world with other people, then the more interesting events have opportunity to come by you. Man, I sound like I'm rambling, which I probably am. Maybe it's time to stop there.